like the last 2 days, we're going to reach Habakkuk chapter 1 verse 12 through to chapter 2 verse 1. I'm going to be looking at chapter 2 verse 1 particularly today. O Lord, are you not from everlasting? My God, my Holy One, we will not die. O Lord, you've appointed them to execute judgment. A rock you have ordained them to punish. Your eyes are too pure to look on evil. You cannot tolerate wrong. Why then do you tolerate the treacherous? Why are you silent while the wicked swallow up those more righteous than themselves? You have made men like fish in the sea, like sea creatures that have no ruler. The wicked foe pulls all of them up with hooks. He catches them in his net. He gathers them up in his dragnet, and so he rejoices and is glad. Therefore he sacrifices to his net and burns incense to his dragnet. For by his net he lives in luxury and enjoys the choicest food. Is he to keep on emptying his net, destroying nations without mercy? I will stand at my watch and station myself on the ramparts. I will look to see what he will say to me, what answer I am to give to this complaint. So Habakkuk has affirmed God's goodness and righteousness. Habakkuk trusts him, but that's what makes all that's happening so perplexing. He has now voiced his complaint to the Lord. How can you use Babylon to discipline your people, Judah? I know Judah are wicked and far from you, but Babylon are more wicked, trusting in their own might as their God. They are self-reliant God deniers. They hate you. They hate the God of Israel. How can you use them to judge your people, treating us like fish on the end of a line? And he concludes, I will stand at my watch and station myself on the ramparts. I will look to see what he will say to me and what answer I am to give to this complaint. In the West, we live in an immediate world. We want things now. We get frustrated when the Wi-Fi isn't working well, when the ready meal takes a whole 5 minutes, when a letter takes a day longer to get there. Except normally we don't do that now. We send a WhatsApp or email, something like that, and we complain when that doesn't arrive immediately. We are impatient. So it's hard to pray and pray and pray and have to wait. But God doesn't do e-prayer answers. He isn't a vending machine that coughs up the goodies as soon as we put the coins in. He can answer immediately, sometimes before we've even prayed as events unfold that we don't know about. But often he doesn't. Often he calls us to wait. And Habakkuk will stand at his watch on the ramparts, looking for any sign of the enemy, as it were. David Pryor, in his book on Habakkuk, has 6 points about this watching and waiting. Firstly, it takes time. Habakkuk is certain that God will answer, but he doesn't know when. It'll take time to watch and wait. It will require patience. David Pryor writes, we can easily regard prayer as a way to get what we want, rather than the way in which our covenant relationship is expressed in watching and waiting. We need patience. Secondly, watching and waiting can be lonely work. Sentry duty on the ramparts would be lonely. The prophets of the Old Testament were often lonely men ignored by the very people they were serving. Few were what we would call successful with many followers. Jonah is a rare exception. Praying for what is weighing you down can be lonely. So it's good if you can to find like-minded Christians to pray with, to share your concern and pray for God to be at work. Thirdly, watching and waiting is combined with thinking. When we have an issue that we're wrestling with, it's right to both bring it to the Lord in prayer and to wrestle with what the scriptures say about the issue. So we can wrestle with what the scriptures say about the nature and character of God and the existence of evil and suffering. It's right to do that. And at the same time, it's right to pray. And at some point, it is right to watch and wait. And we may get no answer. We're never told that we will understand every instance of suffering that we or others will face. And when we experience God's silence, like Job, we will simply have to trust and rest in the character of God. Fourthly, watching and waiting requires perseverance. If that issue that is weighing you down is important, then you will persevere in watching and waiting and in prayer. Again, David Pryor writes, this quality of wholehearted, single-minded perseverance in seeking the Lord is a steady refrain in the Scriptures. Read the last section of Ephesians, where Paul talks about prayer, continual prayer on all occasions for all kinds of people, always praying. Keep watching and waiting and praying. Fifthly, watching and waiting requires humility. You don't know if God will answer, and you don't know if the answer he gives will be what you're wanting. It may not be. You may be taught a lesson about who you are and about who God is. That's the lesson that Job was taught. But Job was brought to a closer relationship with God through all that he went through. Habakkuk is willing to be answered and to have to justify what he has said, or perhaps to be rebuked for it. He's willing to be wrong. But he will keep watching and waiting, wanting God to answer his complaint because he's passionate about God. He wants God to act in line with his holy and righteous character. That's the sixth thing that we can see here. Habakkuk's complaint is because of who he believes God is. And he wants God to act in line with his holy and righteous character and to be seen to be doing that. Habakkuk is concerned for God's glory. May that be at the heart of our prayers too.